Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 16 to 20 of chapter 3. Evam pravartitam chakram
Evam pravartitam chakram
Nanuvartayati hayah
Nanuvartayati hayah
Aghayurindriya ramah
Aghayurindriya ramah
Mogham partha sajivati
Mogham partha sajivati
Yastvat maratireva syad
Yastvat maratireva syad
Atmatriptascha manavah
Atmatriptascha manavah
Atmanyeva cha santushtah
Atmanyeva cha santushtah
Tasya karyam na vidyate
Tasya karyam na vidyate
Naiva tasya krite narthah
Naiva tasya krite narthah
Na krite neha kaschana
Na krite neha kaschana
Na chasya sarva bhuteshu
Na chasya sarva bhuteshu
Kaschidarthavyapashrayah
Kaschidarthavyapashrayah
Tasmadasaktah satatam
Tasmadasaktah satatam
कार्यं कर्म समाचर
कार्यं कर्म समाचर
असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म
असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म
परमाप्नोति पूरुषः
परमाप्नोति पूरुषः
कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम्
कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम्
आस्थिता जनकादयः
आस्थिता जनकादयः
लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि
लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि
सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि
सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last session, we were seeing how Ratihi becomes Triptihi. This is an internal process. When you start off in the spiritual path, you'll find that your mind has this tendency to constantly seek pleasure, happiness, everything outside. We are not saying that is wrong. Nowhere are the yogis saying it is wrong. They are only making a clear analysis of what is happening within you. See, when you analyze and understand something in a deep way, when I say deep way, as deep as possible, then you will start getting control over that system. You will know how to operate that system better. This is true with any instrument. This is applicable with respect to any field. A simple thing like operating a computer. Now, you can go on learning. And every time you learn something, now that is going to be useful to you. You also get a certain amount of control. You know how to operate it better. If you're doing business, you're learning. And let's say after 5 years of doing business, if you have applied yourself properly and learnt, then now your skills in terms of doing business would have increased. Similarly, you take a sport. As a person puts in a lot of effort and keeps on learning, it adds to the experience. It adds to the clarity. So the same skill which you have today will increase so much when you go into the depth of it and practice more. Whether you want to sing, whether you want to learn dancing, whether you want to become an IT person, whether you want to do business, or you want to learn to play some instrument. Whatever be your activity, this principle is applicable there. So as a sadhak, you should build that habit to go into the depth of whatever it is that you're doing. You should not just mechanically keep doing things. It is only when you go into the depth and start understanding the skill or understanding about the action, that is when you get the deeper knowledge. And that gives you so much of power. That is why they used to say, knowledge is power. That's a famous statement. Now, what do they mean by knowledge is power? Not superficial knowledge. Superficial knowledge will not give you any power. You may be able to impress someone just by repeating something, but that is of no use. See, many times, when people talk about something and then you ask some questions about some of the terminologies which they used. Now they fumble. Finally, they say, we don't know. So if you don't know that, then why are you using that term? I've seen this with many sadhaks when I give them some work and they have to go to a specialist in that field. It may be related to sound engineering, it may be related to accounts, whatever it is. They go to that particular expert, even legalities. They ask several things, they get some information, and then they come and tell me, sir, this is what he said. And they repeat. And when I ask them, what does this mean? Now, I've seen them fumbling. They say, we don't know. So then my question is, if you don't know that, shouldn't you have asked that person? You should have clarified, no? Why didn't you ask? Now, they themselves don't know. The reason is because that tendency to go deep and learn has not been cultivated. When I was very young in school, we had an English professor. She was really good in the English language. And she used to tell us, read one paragraph from the newspaper every day, loudly. And what was interesting is, so we practiced it. So when I read one paragraph, I must have been probably 10 years or 12 years at that time. So took a leading newspaper and read one paragraph. I couldn't understand much. There were about 4 or 5 words which I didn't know the meaning. So I went back to her and asked her, you're asking us to read one paragraph every day, but it is so boring. She asked me, why is it boring? Because I can't understand this word, that word. See, for example, this is the paragraph. I took the paper cutting, and I showed her, what does this mean? What does that mean? So she immediately said, do you have a dictionary at home? English dictionary. I said, yes. So she asked me, why is it that you didn't refer to the dictionary immediately? You could have underlined those words and looked up the meaning. The dictionary was there, but that effort to use it and get to know when you don't know something, that is what you should develop. So it was a very big lesson in life, what she taught. Whether she meant it for the whole life and all that, I don't know. But it was a very big learning experience. It's not about referring to dictionaries. It is about developing the tendency to learn something when you don't know it. This simple thing people don't have. Whether it is a cell phone operation, especially people from the previous generation, I've seen them struggling with gadgets like cell phones and whatever it is that they're using for years together without learning. If you apply yourself, it is possible to learn anything. It is only that quality of wanting to learn which is important. And once you have that, you will get that capacity to go deep. So for many sadhaks who work closely, they always tell me that, sir, with you, we just can't say something in a loose way because immediately you question that. Now, please understand, it's not that I'm sitting and finding faults or questioning the person. No. When somebody comes and gives me some information and I'm not able to understand that, now naturally questions have to be asked. No, what does this mean? What does that mean? You said these things. So many of the sadhaks who are trained this way, after a few times, what I find is very interesting. When they go to some expert in order to get some information to tell me, now they do a thorough job of that. Whatever they don't know, they ask. Every little thing which they say, they ensure that they know. So it is not about merely informing me. It is about developing that tendency. That is what I'm referring to. This is just an example. Like this, you can see in your own life, you will have very many examples like this. I'm talking of day-to-day incidents. So when you have that intention to learn, you will get that ability to go deep. If you combine these two, you will become very knowledgeable in anything, any field. And that kind of knowledge will make you very powerful. So a sadhak should never compromise with ignorance. Let us start from the world. Whatever it is that you are doing, you're working in your office, you require to learn some skills, learn some new subjects, new things in order to grow in your company, in order to get more salary. You should be able to do that. You just can't simply sit and say, this is not my swadharma, this is not, I don't have interest in that. When it comes to swadharma, we will see thoroughly what it is. Swadharma is not about day-to-day functioning. Your lack of capacity to learn is what is coming out in these various forms. I want you to recognize this. First, start with whatever it is that you're doing in life. This is how you can become an expert in your field. And when you develop that expertise, success will automatically follow. You don't need to run behind success. It is the same quality which is applicable in the spiritual path also. Ultimately, what is the spiritual path? It is that inner journey, gaining complete mastery over your own mind. If you want to gain complete mastery over your own mind, you will have to understand the mind in its depth. What is being explained to you here will give you a certain amount of information. But then, when you reflect on that, your understanding will deepen. And then when you start looking within, when you start observing how your mind is functioning, this knowledge which is being given to you will get converted into wisdom. And as you begin to understand the intricacies of how your own mind is functioning, your control over your mind will naturally increase. It will go on increasing. See, today 99% of your own mind is not known to you. When I say that, that will surprise you, but it is a fact. You only know the conscious mind, that too, even from the conscious level of the mind, you know very little. What is happening at the subconscious level? What is happening at the deeper level, deeper layers of the mind? What is stored in the deeper layers of the mind? None of these are known to you. It is only when you do the sadhana and develop this depth that you will come to know, first of all, what your mind is. And as I told you, knowledge is power, true knowledge, which is nothing but wisdom. So when you gain that inner wisdom, that becomes a source of power for you. What is that power? That power is the ability to gain control over your own mind, to gain mastery over your own mind. That is how you become a yogi, not by mere external practices. Those are all there to ultimately push you within only. People think that just because they read a few books, they gather some information about the scriptures, or just because they perform some rituals, or they just do a few things here and there, immediately they are spiritual. No way. Just as in any field, to gain expertise, it requires a lot of hard work. Same thing with respect to spirituality. It requires much more hard work because it's easy to understand things outside. That itself, people don't master. But it's even more difficult to understand what's happening inside because it becomes more subtle. So whatever we have been studying here, all this is happening within you. Remember that. The entire Bhagavad Gita is nothing but what is happening within you. Arjuna is within you. Krishna is also within you. So when he says Atma Ratihi, that is an internal state. So as a sadhak, when you begin to observe your mind, you'll find that your mind has this tendency to seek pleasure or happiness from the external world. So when you do sadhana and turn the mind inward, instead of being dependent on the world for your happiness, now you will start tapping into the source of happiness from within, which is what is Atman, your own higher self. So when that process starts, all your desires which are not under your control today will all become very refined, and you will start controlling your own desires. You will start getting that power. An uncontrolled desire can cause so much of chaos in your mind. It can remove all your peace. When you gain control over your own desires, you get the ability to fix a goal in order to fulfill that desire, and then channelize all your energies towards the goal. And that is how you become an achiever. So the uncontrolled desire, which is kama, that becomes ichha shakti. It is an inner transformation. So this ancient wisdom, Vedanta, actually helps you to become a great achiever in life. How? By gaining complete mastery over your own mind. So when you're caught up with kama, which is no control over your own desires and the emotions caused by those desires, what happens? That leads to atriptihi. Atriptihi means dissatisfaction. A person who is loaded with a lot of desires and has no control over those desires, now ultimately that person will become so stressed and it will lead to a lot of dissatisfaction. Just imagine, you have about 100 children in your room, and you have no influence over them. Each one is doing one thing. What amount of chaos it will be. It will cause a lot of headache after a while. That's exactly what is happening to you internally. Each desire is like a child who has no direction, no dimension. One desire will take your mind in this direction, another desire will take you in this direction, third one in another direction. Like wild horses, they'll try to take you in different directions. You need to develop the Ichha Shakti so that you can channelize all these forces within you. Each desire is a force actually. It's a powerful force within you. But if you don't know how to handle it, it can cause a lot of stress. When the horse is not under your control, the horse riding will not be enjoyable. Actually, it will cause a lot of stress. Ultimately, you will fall down and hurt yourself. So, kamaha leads to atriptihi. Whereas Ichha Shakti, when you develop that, that leads to Triptihi, which is what he is talking about in the second line, where he says Atma Triptaha. The person is satisfied by the self. So the same Ratihi, the tendency to seek pleasure outside, when it is turned inward, she becomes Atmaratihi. And that effects a change in terms of your control over your own desires. It's not only your control, but the very nature of desires will also become refined. See, when it is karma, you'd actually start desiring for anything and everything without knowing the consequences. You are not in a position to find out what is good for you, what is not good for you. The mind just takes you for a ride. But as it becomes Ichha Shakti, now the maturity also comes. It becomes more refined. You use your intellect, discrimination. Is this good for me? Is this beneficial for me in the long run? Then I will desire it. If it is not beneficial for me, I am not going to waste even a little bit of my mental energy in desiring that. So the desire itself becomes a choice. That desire by choice is what is called as Ichha Shakti. Today, your desires are not out of choice. Previously, you may have chosen, but the whole process is not under your control. Anything which you see, immediately the mind gets attracted. That's why I tell people, see, be careful when you buy things, when you go for shopping and all that. The best thing would be to do window shopping. Just go see what all is available. But just because something is there, that doesn't mean immediately you need to buy it. It's a small exercise which will give you a lot of control over your own mind. The mind just gets attracted to everything which is thrown at it. As the technology is advancing, every day one new gadget is coming, a new update is there. Now, you just have to pause. See, for example, you have a cell phone, now the latest model, this is there, that is there. The cell phone which you're using, is this satisfying all your requirements? And invariably the answer will be yes. Then why do you need to jump into the next thing just because they have introduced that? Yes, when the time for changing a gadget comes, you, according to your finance, according to your budget, you go for the best. That is okay. But just going gaga over small things like this, they'll just introduce one feature here and there, They also play about with it. They know exactly how to attract the mind. The people who are in advertising, they also have studied the human psychology well. What should be done to create that karma, that passion in a person, and then how to attract that person, how to lure that person. That technique they have mastered. So you should learn to question everything. Is this really required for me? What is my financial condition? What are my goals? So when you discipline your enjoyments, when you enjoy, see, there is no limit to enjoyment which they have given. But you should not completely lose yourself in that. So when you approach the whole thing in a sensible way, in a mature way, then you are choosing. That is what is meant by icha. So ratihi becomes atma ratihi, and once you start seeking happiness from within, you get into a state of triptha. The shakti is triptihi. The energy of satisfaction. So I gave you the deeper sadhana message also about completing experiences. So satisfaction operates at two levels. What are those two levels? The first level is satisfaction with respect to your desires. When you fulfill a desire, you have to find out first what happens. The moment you fulfill a desire, instead of giving you satisfaction, it gives you more craving. I want more and more of that. Again, we are not saying it is right or wrong. We are only seeing what is happening. It is an objective examination, objective observation. That internal craving which you develop, what the yogis call as trishna. Trishna means too much of craving. Now that will never ever give you that satisfaction. So when you use the icha shakti and when you fulfill your desire in a disciplined way, in a mature way, in a sadhana way, this is what is meant by fulfilling your desires in a sadhana way. Now that object of desire which you get will give you triptihi, relative satisfaction. That is satisfaction with respect to that particular desire. This is the first thing. The second thing is what I had given you in the previous session, that is completion. You start completing your experiences. When that inner completion begins, you will have no hang-ups. Oh, I have not experienced this, I have not experienced that. All those hang-ups will go away. See, today, if you go deep within and see your own mind, there are a lot of hang-ups. Even if you take this birth alone, right from early childhood till now, there are so many things which have caused those impressions. Whenever an experience is incomplete, that will cause a mark within you, a scar within you, what we call as impressions, psychic impressions. And that is an aspect of karma. And when you're loaded with these impressions, now you can never be satisfied in life. So when you do sadhana and when you convert the kama into icha, Now, when you start experiencing the energy of triptihi within you, now that will cause that completion. Whatever scars you have, whatever impressions which you have gained, all that will get released from your system. And it is not impressions merely pertaining to this birth, all your past births, thousands and thousands of births. And when your impressions start getting released, the energy of triptihi will become more and more. You will get into a state of purnatvam. Purnatvam means completeness. Complete completeness. It's very difficult to explain that in words, That is why I'm saying complete completeness. That is the state of Atma Triptaha. When he says the one is satisfied by the self, Atma Triptaha, it's a very powerful state. The one who has reached that state of Purnatvam. So wherever you are in today, whatever level you may be, you have to aspire to move to the next level of satisfaction. If you just go on increasing your desires blindly, if you just allow your mind to run everywhere without any analysis, without any thinking, you will only end up with so much of stress. This is a beautiful way of getting success in the world, getting that relative satisfaction as you fulfill your desires, as you fulfill your goals, and also moving towards that state of Purnatvam, which is total fullness, completeness. Atma Triptaha. So, Atma Ratihi, number one, and number two, Atma Triptaha. Then, what is he saying further? He says that person is extremely content only in the self. Atmani eva santushtaha. Santushtaha means extremely content. In what? Atmani eva, in the self alone. Eva means alone. So, when he started off Atma Ratihi, he said Eva. Now, when he is completing that, when he is saying Santushtaha, again he says Atmani Eva. It is only in the self. Means, why is he again and again using that word alone, alone? It is a small message which is being given. Real contentment is there only in the self, not anywhere else. I gave you those three things, no? Happiness, the independence, and freedom. Where are these things? Are they present in the world outside? No. They are present right within you, in your own self. So it is not that you have a choice, oh, okay, shall I seek now happiness here or here? No. Happiness is there within you only. Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, he said, it is no doubt difficult to find happiness within, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. Beautiful statement, Whenever you want something, you should see where it's available, no? If you want to buy anything, whatever it is, let's say you want to buy a soap or you want to buy any other thing, you first find out, no, where is it available? It is available in this shop, is it available in that shop? You don't go to an electronics shop and ask for a toothpaste. Then there's something wrong with you. So you're very clear, this is what I want, and you're also clear about where it is available. But when it comes to life, that clarity is not there. What is it that you're wanting? Happiness, independence, freedom. Where is it? It is there in the self. So by using the word only, it is not that there is a choice and he is choosing the self and all that. This is where it is available. So it is only available in the self. So if you want true contentment, it is there within you. So Eva has a lot of impact when you look at it in a deep way. Otherwise, it just looks like a very innocuous word. Only. He's just saying that only is where the emphasis is lying, and by emphasizing that the person is content only in the self, what is the message? That contentment, whatever that thing which you're seeking, is available only in the self. So, extremely content only in the self means anywhere else, if your energies are frittered away, you will not experience this contentment. So, the word santushtaha is another beautiful word. Just as we saw what is Atma Ratihi, then we saw what is Atma Triptihi. Now we will be seeing Atmani Eva Santushtaha. So Tushtaha is the objective, is the adjective, which means contentment. See, we are using three English words. For Ratihi, we have translated it as delighting, it delights. For Triptaha is satisfied, and Tushtaha, content. Some Tushtaha means extremely content. But as we go into the depth of it, it means much more. Actually, if you just go by the dictionary definition, all three will be interrelated and overlapping only. You will not really understand what is the subtle difference between these qualities which he is giving. That is why we are using the yogic approach to unravel the deeper messages. So, Tushtaha, the Shakti behind that is Tushti. Ratihi Shakti, Tripti Shakti, and now Tushti Shakti. The word Triptaha means, I'll give you the literal meanings. You will get actually confused. I'll tell you why. Tushtaha means pleased. Now immediately you'll ask me, sir, Ratihi also means pleased, no? Yes. Tushtaha means satisfied. Sir, just now we saw triptaha. That also means satisfied, no? Yes. Tushtaha means delighted. Sir, ratihi means delighted. Tushtaha means gratified. Again, triptaha also means gratified. If you go by the literal meaning, you will not find any difference between these three words. So we'll have to go into the depth. Tushtaha means content. So first of all, let's see the context. Atmaratihi is when the person is contacting the world. When a self-realized person is contacting the world, when he is amidst external enjoyments, what is his inner state? Supposing, let us say, a yogi is into sense enjoyments. He is having some nice sweet or some ice cream, whatever it is. Let it be any sense enjoyment. What is his inner state? He says Atmaratihi. He never allows the mind to run on its own and go out of control. He never goes gaga over anything because he has located the source of happiness within. That was the context. Then when we saw Atma Triptaha, what was the context? When the person is not contacting the world, after the experience is over, now what is the state? In a state of satisfaction. Atma Triptaha. That was the context. Now, when he is talking about, when he is using the word santushtaha, that is tushtaha, what is the context? It is neither the world or yourself. There is no reference at all. See, the moment we are talking of while contacting the world or while not contacting the world, the reference is still the world only and the lower self, your individual personality. But here, when we use the word tushtaha, that is not with any relative reference. Purely as a state in an independent way without any reference. What is it? Tushtaha, not mere tushtaha, santushtaha, extreme state of contentment. See, for example, what do we mean by reference? I'll tell you. Supposing a person is very rich, let's say he has billions of rupees. Now, he has a son or daughter. She is very young and she is crying. Why? Because she didn't get a chocolate. Now, what the father tells her is, listen, there's nothing to worry about. After all, a chocolate only. You have a lot of wealth. We are really rich. Now that small girl, she doesn't know what is richness. So she's asking, what do you mean rich? Now, how to explain it to her. There's billions and billions of rupees, so many properties we have, this we have, stocks, shares, and so much. So she's saying, Acha, you have so much of rupees, so much of money. Yes. Now, she says, where is all that money? It is there, in different places we have kept, in some in the bank, here, this, but it's there only. No. That is there, but on our behalf, they are keeping it. So it is all ours only. So she doesn't even understand how much is 1 billion. So then you just quantify it by saying lots of money. Now what is the use of money? You can buy anything you want. So billions and billions we are having, so much of money. To which the girl asks this question, with so much of money, how many chocolates can I buy? So her understanding of richness is only with reference to chocolates. If that money can buy more chocolates, then she'll say, I am rich. So when you explain richness in terms of buying or not buying chocolates, it's a very limited concept. You say, any amount of chocolates, any number of chocolates you want, you can buy. Is it? Okay. Now, even if you don't buy chocolates, that's the power, the money has. But still it's with reference, the child understands it only with reference to chocolates. But what is richness per se without any reference to chocolates? So the father understands richness in a broader way, in a higher way. The child understands it only with reference to the chocolate. Similarly, when it comes to the supreme state of contentment, delight, happiness, independence, freedom, you always understand it only with reference to the world. So he starts off with that. Atmaratihi. When you are in the sense enjoyment, what is that inner state? Then when you're not in contacting the world, what is your inner state? Still the reference it with the world only, with the finite. And then he moves to the third one, tushtaha. He says, it has no reference to all this. Per se, what is that supreme state? Atmani santushtaha. It's a supreme state of contentment, not just mere contentment, extreme contentment. See, the word santushtaha is split into two. Sam, which is a prefix, and tushtaha. Tushtaha means content, being contented. That word itself is enough. But he is adding the prefix sam here, santushtaha. Because when it comes to explaining that supreme state without any reference to the world, now words fall short. So he gets into more and more emphasis. One hand he says eva, on the other hand he says not mere tushtaha, santushtaha. That word sam means perfectly, completely. No limits at all. If you can take something to its extreme point in an infinite way, in a never ending way, that is implied by the word sam. So when we talk of tushtaha, contentment, how much of contentment? Can you measure that? He says, no. That contentment which has no end. Absolute contentment. Santushtaha. It's a very powerful construction. So I want you to understand this with emotions. Then only you will be able to absorb that energy. Just merely saying santushtaha, extremely content. And then you go on, Even in saying that itself, there is no contentment. Some people, they use positive words, but when they are saying those words, there is no positive energy, Sometimes it's very funny. We have to tell people, if a joke is cracked, please laugh. There are some people like that. They withdraw themselves, They don't find they don't feel comfortable in just naturally expressing themselves. So the moment there is a lot of positivity, there is a lot of positive emotion and all that, they tend to suppress themselves. Extreme contentment, they say. There is no bhavana in that, So when you hear this santushtaha, extreme contentment, that person is extremely content. When you put your emotions along with your understanding, when your emotions and understanding, when they both of them combine, then that creates an energy flow within you. You start absorbing that energy that inspires you. So a yogi is in a state of supreme contentment, santushtaha. There is no reference to the world, there is no reference to anything. Infinite is infinite. Contentment which extends beyond any limits in terms of quantity, in terms of quality. Sir, can you measure that contentment? No. You measure, you bring a figure, it will be more than that. That's how they say mathematically, infinite plus 1 is equal to infinite. Infinite plus 2 also is equal to infinite. So anything which you bring, it is more than that. That is the fundamental difference between something which is finite and something which is infinite. So explaining the infinite with reference to the finite in terms of finite will give you a start. But don't rest content with that kind of knowledge. Many people, when they read the scriptures and all that, they get an ego, Oh, I now know who is God. I know what the scriptures are saying. No way. All these are only with reference to the finite. It's like the small girl child, she gets an ego. Oh, now I have understood what richness is. And you ask her, what is richness? Richness means having a lot of money with which you can buy a lot of chocolates. That capacity to buy a lot of chocolates, that is only richness. This will be her understanding. So even the understanding of happiness, freedom, the independence, freedom, everything is always with respect to your problems only. Supposing you have a particular problem with your spouse, What is freedom? If I were to ask you, you will define the very principle of freedom with respect to that problem only. So, samtushtaha, that especially some, when he uses the word some, he is asking you to go beyond all boundaries. Don't restrict your thinking. Don't restrict your emotions. Just allow your thinking to go wherever it wants to with respect to understanding contentment. Just allow the emotions to go wherever it wants to go with respect to tushtaha, to any limits. That is the implication of some. So, tushtaha itself is used without any reference to the finite. And when you add the prefix some tushtaha, that person is extremely content. Now, immediately, that creates a tremendous energy within you. That will give you a glimpse of that supreme state in which the yogi is in. Uncontrollable cheer, uncontrollable joy. Not like a mad person. When I say uncontrollable, that doesn't mean the person is not under control. See, all these words can be misunderstood, Uncontrollable joy means infinite joy. That's what is meant. So sometimes when you're extremely happy and content, other people get agitated about it. They don't see it, in a positive way. So yogi many a times puts on an act as if he is a little serious, and actually a true yogi can never be too serious. Deep within him, he is in that state of bliss and contentment. So Atmaratihi, Atmatruptaha, Atmani eva santushtaha. Just as we saw, in the Brahman, the previous verses, Sarvagatam Brahma. Sarvagatam means everywhere, no limits. Similarly, Samtushtaha. See, the style is same only. From the relative, he moves to the absolute. Because that is the only way of doing it. That's the only sensible way of doing it. You are at the finite level, relative level. He starts off from there and slowly increases the level, and then he breaks all the boundaries. So, Atmaratihi is still within a context. Atmatruptaha, again there is a context. Santushtaha, there is actually no context. In its purest form. So, the Shakti behind that is called Tushtihi. It's interesting, in the Puranas, I've been giving the Puranic references, and many people are finding it so interesting. They say that we are able to understand the richness of our ancient wisdom, sir. That's so true. It's because people don't understand all these things that they are thinking something is written. There's so much of depth. So in the Puranas, Tushtihi is a goddess. Very interesting. And not only, actually, she had many sisters also. Now, if I'm not going into the full thing, I'm just giving you a small glimpse there. Her sisters were Shraddha, then happiness. Like there's many sisters she had. Means all of them go together. That's what it means. And whom is she married to? See, we saw no, Ratihi is married to Kama. Kama and Ratihi are partners. So who is a partner for Tushtihi? It's interesting. Her husband is Dharma. Dharma means righteousness. See how beautifully they have given this ancient wisdom in the form of a story, the form of various incidents. So Tushtihi being married to Dharma is a very deep principle. It looks like a very just a story, but a very deep principle is there. When you are dharmic, righteous, from a yogic point of view, when you are in the path of spirituality, the inner journey, when you are a sadhak, when you do your sadhana properly, you are actually in the path of dharma. So when you are in the path of dharma, then you will be very satisfied. The tushtihi and dharma have to be united. They can never be separated. Literal meaning, if you take non-righteousness, being unrighteous, such a person can never be content. If you take the deeper meaning, which is, see, dharma means mama dharma. What is my dharma? Actually, Bhagavad Gita is talking about that only. My dharma. My dharma means your dharma. Everyone's dharma, nature, is that infinite supreme self. So all efforts made towards moving towards that self is called dharma, sadhana. This is from a deeper yogic point of view. So when you do things in a sadhana way in life, you're automatically dharmic. What will you get? Tushtihi, santushtaha. You will be very content, extremely content. Now, I'll give you one more thing from the Puranas which will make it even more interesting for you. Tushti is married to Dharma. Now, they both have a child, and the child's name is Santosha. What is the meaning of Santosha? Happiness. So when Trupti and when Tushti and Dharma, when they both get together, who is born? Santosha, happiness. So we started off with happiness, and now the final result again is happiness. So when you function in a dharmic way in life, when you approach all your desires, when you fulfill your desires in a sadhana way, instead of just merely indulging or suppressing yourself, you should neither indulge nor should you suppress your desires. Rather, you should fulfill them. You should fulfill them in a sadhana way. When you do that, you will be in a state of supreme contentment, and what will be the result? Happiness. This is the cause-effect cycle. Happiness, we start off with happiness, and that will give you satisfaction. Now that satisfaction will give you further happiness. This cycle will keep on going. This is the yajna chakra. I told you, everything goes in cycles. So through sadhana, we are bringing about this, we are setting this cycle in motion, the cycle of happiness within us. So once you start understanding the depth of this, which is when you're truly doing your sadhana, now that sadhana will give you so much of happiness, and that happiness will make you do more sadhana. It will give you success, happiness, everything. And all those experiences will inspire you to do more sadhana. And the more sadhana you do, the more successful you will become, the more happy you will become. This is the happiness chakra which is set in motion. How beautifully they have given it, Tushtihi, Dharmaha, they both are partners. Result is Santosha, happiness. So, any way you look at it, the message is very clear. That's why I simplified it and gave you right at the beginning, the three factors: happiness, independence, and freedom. If you have absorbed these three factors, now when you go about experiencing life, you will your life will truly become purposeful. Okay, so we'll stop with that here. We'll continue a few. The next line is, there is nothing which ought to be done. That is, of course, a very deep principle, which he will anyway be continuing in the next verses. Next verse fully is going to talk about that only. So we'll be making a start and then moving to the next verse. All that we'll see the coming weeks. Before we do Nididhyasana meditation, I will take up one question. Namaste, Yogishri. The word Ratihi is quite interesting. So, all the points have been given, and then this question, that is, personally I find myself going in cycles for some addictions. For example, if I actively practice withdrawing from my phone for a week, then the phone addiction subsides for a few weeks. But after that, it gently comes back again. Perhaps what makes phone challenging is that these days our lives are intertwined deeply with it. So withdrawing 100% is not so easy. Please suggest some relevant practical tips. This is a very good question, a very practical question. As you rightly said, it's not only phones. So many things in life, they are a part of our lifestyle today. We cannot change that. Actually, if you remember, before we went online with these sessions, when it was done in the auditorium and all, I used to tell you that, keep your phones switched off when the healing energy is given, because the energy which a cell phone radiation emits is not so conducive to receive the healing energy. But now the very session itself is happening online. So how can you avoid a phone or computer and all that? So at that time, interestingly, that is, we're talking of during that COVID time, when there were lockdowns and all that, that is when we shifted to online. So when I did some meditation and saw what to do, then this answer was given to me by the higher, that to increase the healing energy to that level where all the negative energy created by these gadgets are all neutralized. And then the healing can be given. That is the principle we are following now. Yes, no doubt, the work for me has increased because to have an empowerment, for example, even empowerment or any healing directly, now compared to that effort online, it's a lot more because energy has to be increased. The negative effects of the radiations, all those things have to be first neutralized. But we are doing it because it has become a part of one's lifestyle, and once that has got set now, the people from any part of the world can benefit, So we'll have to be practical regarding these things. So generally, when you talk of addictions, it's not only with respect to phone, addiction can be towards anything. When your mind is craving for it, when your mind becomes restless without it, all these are symptoms. So instead of straight away just cutting and saying, for 1 week I'm not going to touch the phone, it shouldn't be like that. See, first of all, you'll have to do your daily sadhana, which I can see that you're doing, because when I scan the energy as you were asking that question, it is clearly seen that you're doing your daily sadhana. Now that itself will slowly bring your mind under your control. Now, where you need to be really bothered is when you find some addiction taking you away completely, even away from sadhana. There you exercise this kind of control. You say, no, I will not do it. For example, supposing you're watching this session. Now, instead of sitting and watching, let us say you're putting it in your laptop and then you're having a cell phone and scrolling something and you're listening to the audio. Or even in the phone, you can't do something else because this is on the YouTube. But see, all this the mind can ask. There is no end to it. So there you say, no, I will do the scrolling later. Right now, let me focus here. So this method of withdrawal should be applied where you find that a particular habit or addiction is completely taking you away from whatever it is that you ought to do. Simply, if you just pick it up and if you put too many rules and if you say, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, it will cause a lot of frustration. It will come back with greater force. So that is the first point. The second point is gaining control over your habits come in a very slow manner. See, a car which is going at high speed cannot turn at right angles all at once. It has to turn in curves, no? In a curve, in a smooth way, when you turn it, then you will be in control. Similarly, when it comes to any habit, any addiction, gradually you bring in a little bit of discipline. Let's say for several hours you're doing that. I'll reduce it by 15 minutes. It's a small discipline, but it will give you a little bit of pinch, but not so much that, it will cause frustration. So little by little, when you apply the principle of self-control and moderation very carefully, then you will be able to overcome your addiction. The challenge here is, as you rightly said, since cell phones, these things have become a part of our life, for you to find out whether you're addicted or not is the most difficult thing. Because anyway, you'll have to use the phone. So am I addicted to it? Am I having control or no? How will you know? When here and there, when you set a discipline, that time you will come to know how restless your mind is becoming. So, an intelligent combination of sadhana and self control, not self denial, that will help in gaining mastery. So, I've given you the principles. As the context comes, anyway, these things will be coming again and again. I will, every time I'll give you some more points, I'll add more points to this so that your wisdom becomes more deep. So, as of now, reflect on these points and ensure you don't go to the extremes. Be practical. And if you find that seeing too much of cell phone, this, the computers and all that is causing eye strain, now there you can take some time off and give some rest to your eyes. You can do the kriyas which were taught anyway. The future we will have the kriya classes also, the, the yoga part, the physical part. That also you can learn and you can balance out. Okay, so as long as that intention is there, that is more than enough. The sadhana will protect you. So now we'll do the Nididhyasana meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. beyond my body, beyond my emotions and thoughts, beyond everything which is finite, lies my higher self, that infinite supreme reality. My higher self is the source of happiness, independence, and freedom. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, open and close your palms a few times. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. and cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, the top of your head, the back of your head, your neck, and slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So we had a very deep session. We can say a content session. First, you have to practice all this with respect to these sessions. You should feel so happy that every Sunday you're getting this opportunity to learn this ancient wisdom in a pure way. From happiness will come gratitude. So go deep into these principles, absorb them. You'll find a lot of transformation happening within you. It is not a overnight change we're talking about. It is a lifetime practice. That commitment should be there. Okay? So I'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much. Hari Om.